we're going to kick off Pro Soccer Talk this week with a focus on Lionel Messi. Recapping his display against Nashville, they drew, but they're still unbeaten into Miami, and they've got LAFC coming up as well. So, Nick, I saw the odds for Inter Miami. They are second favourites to win MLS Cup, even though they are way out of the playoff picture. Can you explain that to me?
No. I mean, they have the best player to ever play the game. I mean, I guess that's kind of the argument there. I think it's amazing. I think it's incredible. They literally have three of the best players of their generation. If you really think about it, positionally, Busquets is a wonderful player, and Alba as well. And again, Messi is helping to make stars out of his current teammates, as we've seen from the USMNT roster call up. But I mean, I really think it's a bridge too far. They're going to play some very good teams. They're not going to have Messi for a while. I know they have the two matches in hand, but just go back to the man. That's the thing. They're not going to have him for every game. If they had him for every game, I would tell you there's a legit chance. But I think it's a building block season. I think it's more likely you see them get the double, if you will, with the Open Cup, and then we'll see what happens down the stretch. Does he rest a little bit? Does he play 20 minutes a night and wave to fans off the bench? I don't know, but I just can't see them making all that ground up, as good as he is and as good as his teammates are.
Yeah, Andy, 10 points off the playoff, 2 games in hand, as Nick mentioned, but there is pressure, right, to play him, to rest him. Tata Martino's already rested him once, almost apologetically. So how's Messi going to deal with all this travel, and how are Miami going to cope with this down the stretch?
Yeah, that's just one weird, massive quirk of MLS that players over the years, big players, especially coming from Europe later in their career, have found, to be an adjustment. The travel this week especially, it's kind of the first example of that. A game in Miami, a game up in New York, a game in Miami, a game in Los Angeles. Every 3 days, the commercial travel that's involved in MLS. Messi's really now, for the first time since he got here, and he's played so many games already, and we've talked so much about him now, but he is now finally getting into the weeds of what MLS actually is. And this is what life is like in MLS. And I think a lot of that's going to change because of his presence in the league, because of the profile that it's bringing to the league, the attention and the notoriety. I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the next CBA for MLS, if not some maybe possibly coming before, that they're going to look to kind of improve the off-field life, if you will, of the players. And so, but yeah, it's going to be a challenge for them. And I agree with Nick. If he was going to play every game the rest of the way, who's to bet against him? But he's going to miss a few games, and it's probably going to be just enough points dropped that they won't be able to make up that massive gap. But the traveling circus is going to continue on, and we're going to continue to just lap it up, because it's so special to watch him take the field and just continue to deliver time in and time out.
And we talked about it before. He's really enjoying it, smile on his face, even though he didn't win against Nashville. Still unbeaten, still in good nick. And they really are becoming a really good team. Messi aside, Inter Miami are getting better all over the pitch, and they have a great coach as well leading the way. Nick, LAFC up next. What do you kind of think? That might be one of their toughest challenges yet, right, for Messi since he turned up in Miami?
Yeah, looking at the standings, looking at the schedule, it's interesting. I don't want to sound dismissive here. I really don't. But has there ever been an instance in any sport where everyone seemed to know what was going on with one team and maybe not the rest of the table? Like, you're LAFC and you're like, oh, they're usually great. But what's the breakdown this year? And they've been very good, but it's been a weird season, right? St. Louis FC is still leading the West with Roman Berkey of Bave fame. And Houston and Vancouver are up there in the West. And you look over in the East, and Cincinnati has risen. It's just been a strange league, as it always has been. But this season in particular, it's one of the reasons that you would have thought with Messi there, they could have made a playoff push, is it's hard to get a read on this league.
Andy, when we talk about LAFC, this is obviously one of the teams, the poster boys of MLS in the last few years since they arrived. Seeing Messi play in LA and MLS, that feels like a moment. We've talked about this a lot. Watching him on the road, seeing the traveling circus, Beatlemania, if you will. We're going to see that roll into LA. So, bigger picture, what does this mean to Los Angeles to have Messi coming into Players Club ball?
Yeah, it's another massive platform for the league. LAFC has gotten some of that kind of global recognition the last few years with some of the names and players that they've brought into the league, whether it's big names coming in. They've also had a couple of big name players that kind of came into MLS, made a name there, and then made the jump off to Europe. And so they've been very, very heavily involved in kind of the global transfer market, more so than a lot of teams in MLS. And so they've put themselves in just a few years kind of at the top of the list of profiles of teams in MLS. But to Nick's point there, it does feel like everybody's paying attention to Inter Miami. And oh yeah, they play in MLS. Who cares what's going on in the rest of the league? But this is going to be a massive, massive challenge for Inter Miami, and I think Messi's going to know that. I hope we see him show up and just really, truly deliver in this game, because that is one of the cooler stadiums there in MLS as well. And so the atmosphere that's going to kind of be built around this game, it'll be interesting to see how many of the pink jerseys get into the stadium there, because we've seen that kind of all over. But LAFC, one of the stronger, local supporter bases in the league. We'll see about that.
And Nick, how are you feeling in terms of seeing Messi now leading Miami and against one of the best teams in MLS? It feels like, he's had, the opening couple of months or so here now. And now it feels like it's time for him to really kick on and see if he can sustain this. Do you think he can?
Yeah, I do. I think he's borderline used to it. He's had to be the man. Remember this final year at Barcelona that he had to plug through, and they used him basically as often as they could. He's used to that. Tata Martino is used to that. And we've seen him, right? There's the video. This isn't anything new, by the way. People are showing these ISO cams of Messi, and he's walking, trying to find his place on the pitch. But if you watched any number of documentaries on him, which I have, I mean, I absolutely love watching the guy play. Him walking the pitch is what he does to find space. And it's something you kind of sign up for. It's something as a coach that Tata will know what to deal with. It's what Pep did with Messi. It's what Pep did with Kevin De Bruyne and does with Kevin De Bruyne. So I just think that he is capable of doing anything. How many years he can go on to do that, again, given his age, who knows? But right now, there's still an aura around him. And I wonder if it'll take a loss or two for teams to really snap out of the I'm playing against Messi moments.
Yeah, at the moment, it's just wonderful to see him week in, week out in MLS. So we'll keep you updated on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com for all the latest from the Lionel Messi show, because week in, week out, him and Inter Miami are rolling around the country now and absolutely dazzling pretty much everyone, including us. So we can't wait to see him back out on the pitch very soon indeed.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.